Welcome to GradMissions Office Hours. I'm Autumn Lockett, founder and CEO of GradMissions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lizanne Carlson, and I work with our law clients here at GradMissions.
Hi, I'm Morgan Hager, and I do client success for all law clients at GradMissions.
Hi, I'm Logan Lockett, and I'm working with our medical students.
All right, today we are going to start back at the beginning and find out a little bit about GradMissions and why we're all here and why we all love it. So, Autumn, could you tell us a little bit about why you started GradMissions?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, have been in the law and med school admissions arena for 16 years. And for all but the last two of those years, worked on behalf of schools. And it was incredible work. It's where I met all of you. So that was incredible. And I got to meet so many incredible, doctors and lawyers in the making. And one common thread that I saw in the application cycle was that by the time someone's application landed on my, director of admissions desk, it was too late to do anything about it. And so many people make boneheaded mistakes that they don't even know that they're making. They don't know what they don't know. Even people who have family members who are doctors and lawyers, a lot of those family members went 5, 6, 20 years ago to med and law school. And we know that admissions changes. The higher ed admissions dynamic is constantly changing. And so when I looked at these applicants, both for med school and for law school, and was spending a lot of my time working with people who are on the wait list, working with people who have been denied, running reapplicant workshops for med school, I just saw so many common themes. And unfortunately, when my job and our jobs, all of us who are working at med and law schools, when you work for a med and law school, you have to do what's best for the med and law school. The end. Like that's your job. That's who's paying your paycheck. You have to, there are certain things you can't talk about. There are certain advice, pieces of advice that you can't give. And even if you could give it, by the time someone's applied and you know about them, it's too late. They've wasted 4 years of their life, 3 years of their life, whatever. And so I really started grad missions because I wanted when I put my head on my pillow at night to feel like I'd done what was most ethical for students. And that sounds so silly and sappy, but because of this work that we do together, I'm able to do that.
I love that. Can you tell us a little bit about why you brought each one of us to your team?
Yes, I always picture because I'm an 80s baby, I always picture the Care Bear stare. Like we're all like standing there with our like little like images on our chest and like we all bring something so different to the table. So Lizanne was my first capture. I brought her in under the ruse of helping me do like a cute Enneagram post on Insta, and then I just never let her go. So Lizanne was my associate dean of admissions when we worked for law schools, and she's an attorney. She is one of the most nurturing, wise people I have ever known, and watching her work with law students when we worked on behalf of schools I just saw that like gossamer thread of ethic in her. And not just work ethic, but also ethics for the students that she worked with. And so I knew bringing her on as someone who'd actually been to law school, as someone who'd actually, been a practicing attorney, she also brings that kind of military edge, not edge, but like the military expertise, which I know nothing about. And so I brought Lizanne in to really just help me assure our law students through the process of applying. And then because we stay with them until 1L orientation starts, we get to sort of, this is the part that we're in right now as we finalize scholarship negotiations, help people make their final decisions. Now we start getting into kind of the headspace of a 1L and where your head needs to be, what you need to be doing. Hint, it's not what you think you need to be doing. And so just having her here with me, consulting with clients, and I consult with her too. I'm like, hey, what do we do on this? Just been so nice to have her along. So, Lizanne, I think we should give you a
Yes.
minute to kind of talk a
Sure.
little bit. So, yeah, so I was
Yeah.
just so thrilled when Lizanne said yes and join the team.
Yes. We both knew it was just a matter of time. And so that was great. But yes, Autumn and I were just chatting about life. I mean, we've stayed friends for a decade now. And I was telling her that I was in a litigation job at the time, and I was telling her I wish there was a way I could get back to working with students. Just loved that position so much. And then also, just a little bit of my background, I was a first gen law student and I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. Well-meaning family that, was trying to help me. And so being able to sit across from a future law student and tell them what I wish I had known, plus what I know now, having had the experience on the other side of the desk, is what I tell them, is just so fun and exciting. And you gave me praise about being nurturing. I really appreciate that because I do think that is what differentiates us. And one of the ways, there's many ways from other companies, is that we do care about the individual. And that was the disconnect when we were working for schools. It's like, we want to go further with this. We want to talk to you more about your individualized journey, what you're looking for in a school, and, your future goals and things like that. So being able to do that at Grad Missions is just overwhelming and wonderful. So that's a little
That's
bit about me.
Yay.
Yeah.
So then my next capture, I knew, so that was like, I had the law side of the house sort of, lined out. And we have editors and other people who float around in the background and a whole team that supports us. But the talking heads you hear on the podcast, that's who I'm sort of introducing you to today. So then I knew that I needed help in the med space. We had, people who were needing help with the residency, people who were needing help with, MD, DO, MD, PhD, all of those kind of things. And I my favorite thing about this is the writing. And so I wanted to be able to leave headspace for me to really do these live writers workshops that we do with our clients. But if I was spending all my time like making a strategic school list and looking at match data and navigating an ERAS application, I just couldn't be as creative as I wanted to be, which was part of my dream of starting this work. And so I slowly brought Logan in under the ruse of helping some residency clients. And then she quickly became the MD DO expert. Logan and I worked for an MD program and sort of I would get them in the door and then pass the baton to you at orientation and white coat. And so you have seen this through, you kind of know what happens once they get past the admissions desk. And so I think the way that you're able to help us strategically build their application experience with that not just with a white coat end goal, but with a residency end goal. And having that long-term kind of vision for our clients really changes the whole aspect.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't know what to expect when I joined the grad missions team, other than I told Autumn a long time ago that I would ride her coattails wherever she went. Autumn, I don't know if you remember that, but we were actually
I do.
sitting in the student union, and you were kind of just musing about the idea of having your own business, and I was like,
After
well,
I tricked you that I was a Mary Kay lady, remember? I was
yeah,
like, I have this
yeah.
idea to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to sell Mary Kay makeup. And you were so sweet about it.
I was like, yeah, it's great. You get that pink Cadillac. And so, I just knew that I trusted Autumn and her vision. But honestly, I've been so surprised. I thought I wouldn't know anything about the admissions side of getting into med school because I worked with current med students moving into residency. But first of all, the overlap between applying to residency and applying to med school, it takes the same degree of preparation
Yep.
and the same degree of vision and the same degree of commitment. And I've really enjoyed, for lack of a better term, kind of seeing how the sausage is made. I worked with these whole med students and I've really enjoyed, and it's helped explain some things about why they are the way they are, right? Let's be honest, they were born that way. You have to have that kind of drive and commitment and tenacity to pursue this path. And I've really enjoyed being able to give that kind of one-on-one bespoke time that I just simply could not give as a director of student services in a medical school, right? I mean, there's a lot of students needing your attention, and you spend a lot of time focused on maybe students having concerns or issues or whatever. And I've really enjoyed this time to like spend one-on-one intentional time with students who are just pursuing their dreams. Like
Yeah.
that has been one of my favorite parts.
That's right. And you're so good at it. And you're exactly right. They are born this way. There are people who, when I ask them, one of the questions I ask in our 1 hour intensive as we kick off our work is, tell me about a time you surprised yourself. And, my our law clients will say something like, well, I took, a criminal justice class and really loved it. And our med students will say something like, I started running and accidentally ran 26 miles. And that's just the best way that I can describe. Now, there are law students who have tenacity. There are med students who are, hey man, whatever. But overarchingly, that tell me about a time you surprised yourself. The med students, I'm like, what do you mean you accidentally did like a triathlon? I don't understand. How do you accidentally do that?
It's so true. And, doing the math on when we're working on activities and experiences and doing the math on the number of hours dedicated to certain activities, I'm bowled over most of the time about the sheer number of hours dedicated to pursuit of this path, often in service of their community. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard to understand until you've either done it or, walked alongside someone doing it.
That's right. That's right. And being able to pay that careful attention and be there when they have a panic spiral and send a text and like, oh, what about this? And we can be there. Those are the kind of things that we just did not have capacity or bandwidth or expectation for when we worked for schools. It's just not there. And when you work for a school, whether you're a pre-law advisor, pre-med advisor, working at a med or a law school, it is not ethical for you to give anyone better advice than another person. You have to give everyone the same base level homogenized advice, and that's fine. But if you want to be at the top of the applicant pool, you need you need bespoke help. You really do. Or you need to be able to do it on your own, one of the two. Okay. And then there's Morgan. So our law side of the house, it's kind of funny. People are like, how do you do med and law? Well, the cycles are a little bit juxtaposed. So like when med really is cooking, law's a little bit quiet. When law gets cooking, med are just kind of wringing our hands doing interview stuff. Um, Not wringing our hands and worry, but just waiting. We're just kind of sitting there, like twiddling our thumbs, waiting. So it really works out well. But because I am in both camps, I really needed someone to come in. Logan has a team of meditors, is what we call them, med editors, who work with her. And so Lizanne and I were really needing, as this has grown, as the number of LSAT takers just keeps ticking up, we knew we needed someone to just help us wrangle our law clients. And um, I, ran into Morgan on a date night and just sort of accosted her at the table and said, would you come and help us? And knew Morgan from doing career services, knew Morgan as a Big Law recruiter, knew her as someone who had worked with students at the undergraduate level. I mean, basically your whole professional career
Mhm.
almost. And
Mhm.
so I knew that I knew that you would be the person who could speak with authority to students that they would listen, but you also had the skins on the wall to have the authority of exactly the questions that they have at this stage. That you can't just be thinking about how to get in. That's like throwing, okay, I'm going to try to use a sports analogy. This is not my forte. Um, it's like trying to throw a ball, but like you don't have the follow through. It's just like you just stop
Mhm.
right here. But when you're looking at this with the kind of long-term vision that Logan's able to bring us on the med side of the house, I knew that bringing you in, Morgan, to help us just sort of smooth out the law process was a dream.
Well, it's also been a dream of mine as well, because for the last couple of years, I have been in a corporate setting where I've been working with students, but it was starting to get a little bit more away from students. And
Mm.
I realized that, and I think it's a common theme among all of us. I've seen that in this discussion today. We love working with the students. We love helping them realize their vision and their dreams and pursuing them. And that's something that has been on my heart for the last couple of years. And so when I've followed along on Autumn's socials and been like, oh, she's doing this is really neat. I love this. This is kind of a dream. And then when we ran into each other that night, I was like, wait, this could actually happen. And it is, and I love it. And I just being back with the students and helping them not just think about the law school that they're going to, but also what type of attorney they want to be. And it's okay if they don't know what type of attorney they want to be, but I can help them with the questions that they should be asking the schools, because they may not know what they want to do, but they know where they want to be, most
And
likely.
how they want to do it. Yeah.
Yes. And so I
Yeah.
can help them kind of narrow those questions a little bit. So when they are on those interviews, because most of them are in at several different schools and they're like, how do I choose? I don't know what should I should be asking. And so sit down before they go to their admitted students day and talk to them about who they should be communicating with, what they should be asking, what they should be looking for in a law school, because that law school is the beginning of their legal network. And we all know your network is key. As evidence right here,
Look at
we
us.
all work together. So
That's right.
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's exactly it. So that's, I mean, that's the sort of the who behind grad missions. Again, there are many other people who work and more behind the scenes, kind of project based as we're building out more ways to solve your problems that you have. But really just wanted to introduce the team a little bit today. I think that was, definitely part of the goal. And then also to peel back sort of the curtain on what happens here at Grad Missions, like what exactly we do. Because it's hard in a 20-minute strategy call. I can't tell you how many times I get, three-quarters of the way through an admission cycle with someone and they're like, I can't believe you do this too. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't have time to talk about that. And like, you don't even know what you don't need. You don't even know what you need in the admission cycle until you get to that stage. And you're like, oh, what's a letter of continued interest? And how do I write this? And wait, this professor asked me to ghostwrite a letter of rec for myself. How do I do that? Like, you don't even know what's about to come at you.
It's
Absolutely.
so true. So in that, can you tell us a little bit about the students that we're working with? Are they all top tier or are they splitters? Or are they sums that need, I mean, just tell us
Yeah.
what you're seeing right now.
So they're all top tier in my heart. They're all my favorites.
Absolutely.
They're all VIPs. Um, and I think that is the beauty of this work. I think it's something that all of us worked really hard to do in our previous life working with schools is even if someone was coming in and we knew they were going to ride the wait list and be denied,
Mhm.
we still treated them with respect. We still took our time to take them on a tour. We still gave them as much strategy as we ethically could from the admission side of things.
Yeah.
When you're a client with Grad Missions, and whether your goal is Harvard, Yale, Stanford, or whether your goal is your local DO program, we are going to give you the same kind of attention and care because it takes work, even if you're going to the lowest rated on the US News Law School or the highest rated, research university med school. Like it takes an incredible amount of work. There is no phoning it in for law and med school. And so, I think what's been really interesting to me is to see, we have clients who are looking at part-time programs for law school, and this is what they're going to do while they still work sorry, there's an adorable baby here, and I just want to say hello, little intern. How are you, sister?
We have a lot of things to say, so you're
Hi. Well,
just
I mean, we were just talking about how you were pregnant with her match a couple of years ago. She's baked in. She could probably honestly like lead the charge here.
she's listened to a lot of med conversations in her lifetime.
Um, so yeah, so we have students who want to do part-time, like it's going to be online programs, hybrid, and then we have students admitted to Harvard, Yale, Stanford. And so it's really like wherever you are, if you want to do it the best, grad missions is the answer.
I
Absolutely.
love that. So also, um, what can they get from you and our team and that they can't get from other companies or on their own?
Yeah. So I will say probably one of my major personality flaws is that I just don't pay a lot of attention to what other people are doing. I'm just not really concerned. I can't tell you how many times a business coach, someone who's trying to tell me I need to scale my business is like, well, who are your competitors and what are they doing? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know. I'm not really concerned about what they're doing and how they're doing it. But I know what we're doing. So what we're doing is building relationships. It's the reason that we are small and boutique. It's the reason that our prices don't have a one in front of them. In case you're wondering, our packages start at 2,500. Um, they definitely go up from there, but we do have payment plans available. And I think all of that really speaks to we want to be accessible. We are offering a premium product and it is worth the investment. I promise you're getting the better end of the deal. If we added up the number of hours that we spend with you, we're probably way underpriced, but overvalued. But I think it is that relationship. You not only just get a team of people who actually know what they're doing, right? We're not a disgruntled MS2 who needs a side hustle. We're not, somebody who graduated from med school 20 years ago and, is retired, which is great. Like those I'm glad that they have those people weighing in, but you really need someone who first of all knows how admissions works right now, which we do. We still consult with med and law schools nationwide. We know how they recruit, we know how they admit. Um, but we also care about you. And we are deeply empathetic relationship builders. That's, how this residency thing grew. And I didn't start grad missions thinking we would do residency, but we had clients who had worked with us who were like, I can't do ERAS without you. And so here we are. And I think if you want someone who's going to have a conversation and who's going to ask you, I mean, if you looked at my inbox right now, I have 3 emails with people sending me baby pictures of their, I'm like, okay, I haven't seen a picture from your family in a while. It's that kind of connection. And in a world where people are lonely, right? We've never been more connected, but we've also never been this disconnected. Um, I think it's the relationship. Yes, we know what we're doing. Yes, we're going to get you there. Our success rates are out of this world. Our ABA 509 predictions, our clients get 15 to 23% more in scholarship. Like, yeah, there's all those like numbers that like, the math people care about. But I think it's the relationship and connections. It's, when a 1L client gets a big law job, like they text us about it and they're so proud and they're like, oh, actually now I have a competing offer. Like we're not still working with them. They're not still paying us, but like I'm responding and excited and have tears in my eyes because I'm so proud of you. Like I don't know how to say that succinctly, but there it is.
I love that. And I feel like that's actually what drew me in to grad missions is I missed that side
Mm.
because being on the career services side, and even being as a big log recruiter, when I would call a student, that was the most fun day is when you would call and offer them the job, and the head recruiter and I would make those phone calls and just cheer and we are here to laugh with you, cry with you, and guide you through every step of the way because we care. And I
Yep,
think that's, I
Absolutely.
mean, not that the others don't, because like you said, I have no idea. I just know that we care
yep,
deeply, and we're talking about you in as a team collaboratively
that's right.
after we have communications with you. After we have a Zoom, then if I have any questions, then I'm texting Autumn and Lizanne, hey, would you have said this? And we're working together. So just whenever you have a meeting with one of us, know you're having a meeting with all of us.
It's
Absolutely.
so true. Yeah, you get sort of that benefit of a hive. The other thing is that there's there's plenty of people who need help out here, right? Like there is, if you feel like you need help with med school or law school, there is a company for you. If you want something that's a little more sterile and hands off and more like proofreading edits back and forth and asynchronous work, and if you're gonna hop on, not know who you're talking to, it might be somebody. These are just accounts that I've heard from other people because we do end up batting cleanup for people who go with
Yeah.
other companies, and that's really my only education about other companies is when people come to us after unsuccessful experiences. Um, I think that if you want something a little more hands-on and relationship building, then we're probably for you. And if you're annoyed by us, like we're probably not the right fit for you, and that's okay. We wish you all the best in your journey.
Absolutely. I wanted to go back just quickly about the 20-minute strategy call.
Mm.
So if you're wondering how to get started with grad missions, you'll go and on our website or send us a DM and book that 20-minute call with Autumn. And what she was saying earlier just reminded me, truly 80% of that plus of that conversation is going to be about the prospective client and the questions that they have. And so I don't want anyone to feel intimidated booking that call. They're like, oh, they're just going to give me a sales pitch. Obviously, we're going to tell you what we do. But again, the majority of that call is just seeing if it's a good fit and seeing and you can ask questions like, hey, I'm a non-traditional student or I'm only a freshman. It really is meant to be free strategy for you. And then at the end, information about grad missions, which Autumn was saying she can't get to all of it because the majority of that call is about that. And then another thing too about meeting with us, and it being so personalized. Sometimes people that is also intimidating to them. I had an experience with a client in a law intensive a few weeks ago, and they were. I kept saying, "Do you have any questions?" And they're like, "No, I don't even know where to start." And so, if you are in that place as well, you're listening, you're like, oh man, this sounds like I would have to say a lot about what I want to do with my law degree or what specialty I want to go into. You do not have to come prepared in that way to meet with us. And so a lot of what we do, like Morgan was saying, Autumn was saying, is you have this passion, you have this voice, and that may be it. And that is okay. That is welcome here. And we love walking clients through what that looks like. And so sometimes students will feel, they go to their pre-law advisor and they just don't have enough time. And again, they're working for the school and they're like, well, I met I met with them and I had to have a plan with them before I could get that 10 minutes with them. That is what we're here for. So I just wanted to mention that briefly about getting started with us and then what to expect. And, you do not have to have it all
There's
together
no
to meet with us.
prerequisites to working with GradMissions.
No, absolutely not.
And I also think you don't have to have the perfect background and the perfect, I
Yeah.
mean, so many of the students we work with have such varied life experiences.
Yes.
And I think that's where I was actually talking with a student the other day about this. That's where Autumn's um, writer's workshop and perspective statement and personal statement work comes in. I mean, because you're able to ask those questions and find out who the true student is, who they are, what their dreams and desires are. And like you said, Lizanne, you don't have to have it all perfectly outlined. We would actually prefer you not.
Yeah.
And we can just have an organic conversation and learn about you, and be your friend through the walk.
Yes, for sure. And there's no question that we haven't, like, you're not going to shock us. Like if you have a character and fitness issue, if you have, you're worried about a semester of your grades, or again, we love to talk through those things with
And
clients.
don't hide those things from us.
Yes.
Please don't.
Yeah.
It's going to come out sometime.
Yeah.
So,
It is definitely helpful, especially if you're someone who is going to work with us like within your current cycle. You're not starting, 5, 6 months before your application opens, not the deadline. When does your application open? If you're applying to med school, May, before you want to start the following August. So it's a long time before you think you need to apply. For law school, it's September before you'll start the subsequent August. So there's a long lead time on these. If you are wanting to work with us within that cycle, then you need to probably come with your LSAT MCAT sort of squared away to really have the best chance of being admitted. 10, 11 months before your application opens is the best because we're going to be able to do the most marinating on your essays. We're going to be able to maybe make some changes on your activities and experiences, layer in some more patient experience, leadership experience, oral experiences on the law side. Maybe we can, check out your resume a little bit if you have some opportunities can really help you strategize MCAT and LSAT. We do not do MCAT prep or LSAT prep. There are just too many people out there who do it so well. Hey, Future Lawyer, UWorld. But we can advise on when to start. If you're someone who's potentially considering accommodations, that's another piece of this that we help. It has a long lead time. And so the sooner we can start working with you, the better. And that is not a marketing ploy, I promise. It is easier on you. It is easier on us. The earlier we can start sort of working through that. So I would say, for law students, 6 to 8 months before the LSAT, or sorry, before LSAC opens those applications in September. For med students, I mean, a year before you want to start filling out your AMCAS app is really the ideal kind of sweet spot to get started with us.
and I think that's a good point that it's not a marketing ploy, those timelines, because the earlier you work with us, it doesn't change the price. It
No, the
doesn't,
price is
I
the
mean,
same.
so you're still going to you're just going to get an extended time and, um,
More support.
yes, throughout that.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't discuss is the other programs that GradMissions offers? Do we?
Yeah, so I mean, I think most of what we've been talking about here is the curated application experience, which is where you start with a 1 hour intensive, and then we're with you until either your white coat ceremony at your med school orientation or your 1L law school orientation. So we're there with you. That is the curated application experience. It's unlimited applications, unlimited schools, unlimited edits, unlimited building. Mock interviews, interview feedback, letters of continued interest, scholarship negotiation, decision guidance. We are just like really there in it with you. We also have a package for folks who are a little earlier in the process and maybe just want some like road mapping and some guidance. You also get access to our GradMissions operating system, which is a portfolio where you have basically your whole application mapped out. You get lifetime access to that. So that's the admissions accelerator. It's a 30-day sprint. And so it is, I mean, if I were a parent, I would really look at getting that from my child as a high school graduation. If I knew they wanted to potentially go to med or law school someday. And that's the other beauty of GradMissions is we advise expertly in both. So if you're not sure if you want to be pre-law or pre-med, guess what? We've got you covered and you could very seamlessly move between those two programs. We even have some people who do both successfully. Nothing like a JD MD, just the absence of chill. But
Ultra marathoner. Yeah.
ultra marathon while taking criminal justice, right? They're doing both at the same time. So, our packages really, those are kind of where we are also in the process of doing some other things, which will be rolling out. The best way to find out about what we offer is to follow us on socials. So at grad_missions across any platform you can imagine. We're on LinkedIn, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and also listening to this podcast, following, checking in on our website every now and then. We're also updating there. We have, we have a blog, we have this podcast. You should hit subscribe on this. So yeah, I think that's really the best way to know sort of what we're doing. But wherever you are in this process, we likely have a package and a way to support you through it.
And all of those media outlets are also the best way to get in contact with you, is
Yeah,
correct?
that's right.
For that 20-minute strategy call.
That's right. You can book that straight through the website. You can book it through our links in bio. You could also just email me, autumn@gradmissions.org, O-R-G, not C-O-M.org. It's a great way to just get in contact. I'm super responsive via email. Sometimes our applicant strategy calls book out quite a ways. And so if you just email, we can usually find a little bit of wiggle room to squeeze you in because we do keep most of our calendar for our current clients because that's where we spend most of our time.
Wonderful. Well, I think this has been super informative and I think helpful. And as someone who's new to GradMissions, it's fun to hear the whys of everyone. And I think, like we said, the common theme here is the students. We love the students and we're here for them. And I think it's time for everyone to book that 20-minute strategy call.
Yes, it is.
Start working with
Parents are
us.
welcome.
Oh,
Parents,
we didn't even
partners,
say
we have a
that.
whole place on our
Yes.
website about that. That was another reason for GradMissions was we could not share information when we worked for schools with parents because of FERPA. And so if you are a parent or a loved one of someone who's looking to go to law or med, like I was saying, my family back in the eons ago, they would have really loved this and we are happy to talk with parents about the process and, the acronyms and all the things. And so if you are a parent or a loved one of someone, email Autumn or reach out to us.
Yeah, it really is a team effort. And I hear frequently from moms, dads of people in this process who are like, oh, they're going to do a study abroad. Can we look at how they can take the MCAT while they're in Spain? Like, yes, we've done that. Like, let's do it together. So it's a village, and we would be so honored to be a part of your village and bringing your kid to their future as a doctor or a lawyer.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, y'all. We are going to turn out the lights here in the pod loft. We're always on socials. So we'll see you over there. And we hope you'll join us back here next week for another episode of GradMissions Office Hours. Bye, y'all.